Man, we are April the 25th. I'm just going to level set us. It's been 2 weeks since we got together. Hi, Sally. We're April the 25th now. We're going into May. This is technically our 4.5 month, but we're going into month 5 of the year. Spent a lot of time on self-concept, blueprints, mindset. And now we're going to do some rubber meets the road stuff in terms of finances and financials. I'm excited about this because my own thought process on financial freedom has shifted quite a bit, I think, in favor of a lot of what you guys are trying to accomplish. So I feel even stronger about the conversations we are going to have. Before I get going, is there anything that anybody wants to reflect on that's beating at the top of their heart? Anything anybody wants to say? Just want to honor that.
Yeah, you're two-timing us, Mo. I hear you're putting another mastermind group together.
Maybe, but it won't be till January of next year. Actually, that automation call that we did, I released it as a podcast since none of us talked about anything personal. It drew a lot of attention. So now there's like 7 people on a wait list for next year already. It's pretty cool.
I suspect everyone on this group will want to continue our group calls somewhere. Maybe not the frequency, but
we're not going anywhere. We're going to be staying together.
Yeah.
Okay, so Colin, you're upside down. I have no idea why. Maybe because you're from Australia, I think. Probably why. Oh, welcome back there, buddy. It's because he's from Australia. Down under, did you guys get it? Nobody got it. All right.
I did.
Okay.
I'm going to look left and look right now, okay? There we go.
Oh, very funny. Very funny. Okay, so we are going to get into the financial portion of us spending time together. And I have a question, and I'm going to start calling out on people. So you're going to have to roll with it because I have a specific agenda, but this is not about my version of financial freedom. It's about yours. So, Vince, love to hear what you interpret as financial freedom.
Being able to do the things I want to do, go to places that I want to go, share the experiences that I want to share, and do it from my passive income.
Mm-hmm.
That's my version.
Awesome. Patrick?
Choice in how you fund your life from location and volume of money. It's not necessarily that you can make money or that you can create money, but how you do it, that how affects the quality of life.
Sweet. Alex?
To store enough money to buy assets to get passive income and build on that. This would be for me.
Zach?
Having fuck you money, right?
He just went right for it. Didn't even care about it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Melissa?
We can tell what kind of week you've had, Zach, with Siemens.
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to what everyone else has said, I guess just being able to meet your basic needs in life and then some.
There you go. Sally?
I'm pretty aligned with Melissa. I'd say having enough money that works for me so that I can live and not just constantly focus on work. And by live, I don't think of like me looking at a ceiling all day, like thinking about experiences and just like things that I can do out of passion and not out of duty. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Amazing. I like that one. Colin?
I really don't have a good answer. I need to, as I've said to you for 12 months, increase my passive cash flow so I can, I can retire today if I wanted to. I don't want to, but I want to increase my passive cash flow.
Yep. Which would free up your time technically, or at least give you peace of mind in a different way. So that's viable. My man, Dan, and then we'll round up with the Dominica Queen herself in a second.
Yeah, so I see it as having passive income to support your lifestyle where you're not having to work.
Cool. Thank you. And Shelly?
It's being able to be in Dominica when I want, be in Guadeloupe when I want, be in Paris, fly here, fly there, drink champagne on a Wednesday night if I feel like it, and not have tired days because I feel I have to work for it. That's what
Yeah.
financial freedom means to me.
Man, you rolled it up perfectly because so we just went around the horn, heard from 10 of you. I think I'll be the 11th. And everybody's definition is related but slightly different. And I want you guys to grab onto that because financial freedom means different things to different people. And one of the reasons why I created my own version of financial freedom is because I went to a financial planner in my late 20s. I'll never forget him. His name was Stephen. It doesn't matter. His name was Stephen Power. I called USAA, which is a federal bank in the US, specifically tailored towards the military community. I wanted to spend time with a financial planner. And he told me at the time, this is what you should do, Maurice. You should, so you can have financial freedom later, you should, I can hear his voice, you should sock away as much money as you can, put it into this index fund, which by the way had a 2% fee on it. Put it into this index fund, and by the time you hit 60, it should be around 1.4 million if you keep up this deposit rate, meaning how much money I'm putting into the thing. And at 28, that felt awful because what I recognized was that somebody else was giving me their definition of financial freedom, which had nothing to do with me at all. At all. Now, he wasn't wrong. That might be very well the definition for a lot of people. But for me, and you guys know it about me, and you guys are starting to be the same way, I wanted to live now. I wasn't willing to wait until I was 60 to have the financial resources to do what you want to do. I'm going to be 50 this year. I'm 49 now. I'm not slowing down, but I can certainly feel my body and my mind and my spirit changing. So you're not going to experience life in 60s the way that you're going to experience it in your 30s and 40s, which is why we need access to financial resources to do the things we want to do. So all that to say, everybody's definition is a little bit different. Now I'm going to read the definition that I use for formal coaching, and then I'll riff on it a bit. But my definition, or the definition that I use for coaching, having enough financial resources to support lifestyle, your perfect day, and meet daily needs without having to rely on a paycheck, which is active work. It doesn't mean that you are not going to work. I worked for 25 years, if not 3 lifetimes in 25 years, but I worked a lot. But ever since 2000, technically 2008, but really 2014, I was never reliant on a paycheck. So I could use those paychecks to go accelerate investing and things of that nature. In other words, what you guys said, having the ability to live comfortably and achieve lifestyle related goals, achieve lifestyle related goals, achieve lifestyle related goals, achieve lifestyle related goals. I want to highlight that without having to worry about money. And achieving financial freedom means different things to different people. For some people it's debt free, for some people it's good credit, for other people it's lack of expenses altogether. I probably fall into that bucket. I am paying off everything right now personally. And in regards to trying life on, it refers more to passive income than expenses, leading to unrestrained access to time because we all need time. But just like many of you have articulated, you don't see yourself stopping work. So I actually think I'm going to adapt this a bit to be more of a peace of mind definition than anything. But the biggest thing is financial freedom is different for everybody. Your perfect day, let's say Shelly, your perfect day, what you have in it, whether you're floating between Europe and Dominica, do you have a sense of the number that you need to affect it?
Yeah, I do.
And because you have that number, do you sense that you have a relative plan to get to that number, or at least line of sight on how you can possibly get to that number?
It feels like like I have a plan in theory, but because not dissimilarly to your experience with the financial planner,
Yeah.
I'm struggling with understanding what should be done, i.e., take more debt to do certain things, blah, 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 versus build up a pot, buy assets, and so on, because I keep hearing different schools of thought on the actual finance thing, and I get it. It's a lot of noise, and I'm struggling to make decisions based on all of this information that's out there. So I have a plan, but I'm not sure which route I'm supposed to take to get to that plan.
So, Shelley,
Mm-hmm.
I can really help you on that.
Okay.
Like what we talked about with that extra acquisition in London that you're doing, I can really help you with the start of the journey because I've had to think about the same way. It's a bucket of everything. It's a bucket of everything. In my view, maybe it's different than others on the call, but it's a bit of debt because you're going to need leverage unless you come up like Zach and have an invention that's going to pay him multi-millions of dollars in royalties. But you're going to have leverage to be able to do the things that you want to do, or maybe find that money tree in the backyard in Dominica. But you're going to have different pockets of different risk tolerances. So my journey of coming to America with $5,000 in my pocket and then building it from there. So I can just share my story and how I did it so that, and anyone else, if it wants to listen to it, be happy to show you the different buckets of assets that I have working for me and the risks that I've taken.
I'd be really grateful for that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, Shelley, you're suggesting that you have an idea of it, but you're stuck a bit on the approach of it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, and it's going back to that, like knowing thyself. I think one of my blockers tends to be overthinking things, like wanting to analyze things to the nth degree. Whereas one of the things that you talk about, Mo and Colin, to a large extent, is just do it and course correct along the way. But I find myself stuck in the thinking.
A lot of noise out there.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how much money I've lost on a deal that I've been currently working on just because everything has been working against it. But I keep going, oh no, what about this scenario? And sometimes I just need to learn to just jump in. That's my current situation.
Yeah. What do you think about approaches, Patrick? Do you get blocked on approach?
For me or
for you? Yeah. Or both, general or for you. I'm just facilitating conversation.
No, I don't think I get blocked. I have a very defined goal of what I'm looking for. I don't know how to get there. And so I'm willing to just try and keep going until it happens.
I like that.
So like I'm going from here to here, but I don't know. It's definitely not a straight line, but I don't know how many times it's going to go around and around and all over the place before I finally get there.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing stuff until we finally get there.
So the interesting thing, so that Stephen Power example that I gave you was intentional because it will work for certain people, but it would not work for me. So as I started to read books, and every book had a different approach, right? Like you guys know the books I've read, like real estate books, personal finance books, investing books. Everybody was talking about some different shit. So the way that I approached it was to customize an approach. I sat down in my mid late 20s and said, what am I actually trying to do? Everything was about time. What am I actually trying to do? I need time. Well, how do you get time? You got to have your bills paid for. Well, what are your actual bills? And my magic number was 6,400. I never forget that number ever. It was 2,000 mortgage, 2,000 kids, gas, car. Like it was just the basic stuff was 6,400. And my thought process back then, starting with my 23-year-old self who was thinking through it, was what can you get that will create the revenue to cover that $6,400 number? And real estate was the first thing I ran up on. And I knew that it would, I didn't know how fast it was going to come, but I knew it was going to come. I knew that. What I didn't accept as a definition was the notion that you have to build a certain pool of money and all of a sudden you have something when you're 65, because to try life on, we can't wait that long. Just, it's nonsense. It's what keeps people working every day. So I designed an approach, and that is what I wanted to articulate to you guys today, which is, let me get my notes. Approaches to financial freedom are radically different for people. Radically different for people. Because while Shelly and Colin may be comfortable with real estate, Alex and Vince might not be comfortable with real estate, but they might be comfortable with dividend stocks, something that spits off income in a different way. Or some people are comfortable buying stock, and when that stock reaches a certain value, in theory, selling it and then using the cash to maybe go buy a piece of property or go buy something else that might generate revenue or not. Or maybe the stock gets to a certain value, let's say $1 million or something.
Genuinely excited to dive into the world of marketing and business development with you, especially.
All right. If, some people will get pools of money to a certain level and then draw off that money so they feel like they have comfortability. The thing I want to get across before I go into the approach that I used was everybody's approach is different. The other thing I want to get across to you is that once I created an approach, I never wavered from it ever. So when you guys know my approach, I put it in that post, and I'll bring that post up in a second, but real estate seemed right to me. So when Bitcoin came, I didn't care. When bonds came or someone told me about it, I didn't care. When NFTs showed up, I didn't care. When people were talking to me about dividend stocks, although I've used them, I didn't care. If you stay persistent on a particular path, you will reach some level of outcome. You will. You have to. It has to. It has to manifest. There's no other way because you're working on the same approach constantly. Now, you can pivot slightly. I understand that. But the thing that messes people up from my perspective is that people create an approach or they get taught an approach, they start it and hit 2 speed bumps, and then they give up and they go to the next one. And that's why I say in that post all the time that you guys have seen on LinkedIn, which I'll bring up now, but that's why I say on that post, I think people have kind of started to pick up what I've been trying to say, but the biggest thing I always wanted people to see when I make this consistent post over and over and over again is this. It took 7 years for me to execute this and get more than that basic needs number that I told you about. It took 14 years to make more than I was getting from Accenture. And now I have a lot of assets. I'm even selling some at the moment, but they just keep buying assets like it's a machine. Now, I don't think it needs to take this long at all. I don't, because the resources are very different nowadays, and there's much more information readily available. And also, people's definition of financial freedom are very different. For some, it might be owning 2 condos, moving somewhere, and working at Starbucks part-time. So you're supplementing the condo income or something, and you have the lifestyle that you want. It's all lifestyle based from my perspective. I'm just going to run down my approach, and I just want to see if you guys have any questions about it. But before I do run down what I did, is there any thoughts real quick?
I have a thought.
Yeah.
My thought is I get this, but I don't want to wait 28 years from this point in my life.
Absolutely.
So we need to cut like the 8 off that number.
Yeah. There's things you can do to do that, though.
Okay.
Especially point number 2. Point number 1 and point number 2 are so critical to this thing. I don't think people realize it, but I'll get into it. Any other thought real quick? So we want to shorten it for sure. Any other thought? Okay. Listen, so this was just my 10-step approach. Everybody's approach is different, and we're going to go a little bit longer today. Go ahead, Sally.
I have a thought that I shared with Patrick yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the emotional blockers I had was my daughter's trying to raise the hand. One of the emotional blockers I had when I started was I don't want to be. There's something we say in psychology, like you're either a predator or prey. And in these topics, when you don't master them, when you don't really understand, I just always was wondering if I went to a financial advisor, or if I tried to take any kind of step, like, or being advised by someone, that I'm not prey. And I never felt like that I had enough knowledge to be confident to do everything myself. And so what I did was go for referrals, like ask people I trusted, the directors I was coaching and things like that. And that's how I got my first, I would say, investments. But it's something, like if you want to get advice, and I love that, at 28 years old, you thought that advice is crap, I'm not going to follow that. But if you try to do this work with someone's help because you don't want to invest into the details and the technicalities, the challenge I find is, how do I not become a prey? Because this is not an area I'm extremely knowledgeable in. And what I sensed from your podcasts and your LinkedIn posts is that you need to educate yourself. You need to educate yourself and learn, but I'd love to also hear like what you think, Clive.
You need to educate yourself and learn. The advice that Stephen Power gave me was not wrong. It was just wrong for me. So I don't think there's bad advice out there, any bad advice. I think there's advice that will steer you in a different direction, or advice you will follow. And I always ask the people who I'm talking to in the financial world, are you doing this? And if so, why are you still working if this is so powerful? Most people don't have an answer. So we cannot get around self-education. We cannot. But you can certainly employ a who versus a what, and go to people that you trust and have this kind of conversation, right? Like you and I, Sally, are having wonderful conversations in the background about finances, and you know that you and I are in alignment, and I'm trying to help you formulate what's going to get you to your perfect day, not society's definition of Sally needs $20 million, which is stupid. Right?
Mo, could I make a comment?
Oh, yeah, sure. Colin, then Patrick, then Shell.
Sorry, not jumping over people. Sally, you've got 10 other people now that can help you review something. You've now got this mastermind group of people that have got different things that they can look at. Shelley asked me to have a look at something she was doing in the UK, which I had really no knowledge, but we asked some questions, and Shelley, if you don't mind me sharing the story, we made a decision that she was going to move forward. And there's plenty of people here that you've got a resource that you can trust.
Yep. Patrick?
Two thoughts. One is, for me, outside of the self-education piece of it, I always try to think what is their interest or what is their motivation for telling you, teaching you, or helping you? Kind of like what Mo said, if this is so powerful, why are they doing it? Are they having firsthand experience? Are they actually living what they're talking about for me? The second, from Mo's previous comment around kind of that number, the way I think about numbers for my goals are different, I think. I don't have a number that I'm shooting for. I have I call it purchasing power, but an ability to live the lifestyle based on kind of a moving target based on how long it takes me to get there. So for me, I have a number that is moving based on time. Anyways, just wanted to share.
Love it. Shelley?
Yeah, I was just going to bounce back on a point that Sally made, because I had firsthand experience of this kind of false education in France. And, we talk about status quo more. Literally, I found myself, and I'm sure Sally will say the same, talking to really clever financial advisors, people in the industry, and they all have this belief, this status quo belief that, for example, if you have a negative cash flow on a property, then it's fine because you're saving money. Like some of these like basic principles where you think, okay, am I the crazy person here to think that this doesn't add up? And so, like to Sally's point, sometimes you kind of have to do the work yourself. But when you're in a context, like in a country or a space where literally everyone is telling you the same thing, I find it really difficult to break free from that and just decide, actually, no, this isn't going to work for me because it's literally no money coming in. It's money going out, and you're telling me it's because you're saving.
But I think even more so, thank you for that reflection, Shelly. I think even more so, all of us and many of the people in the global group understand something very different than the rest of society does at this point because we work together. The goal is not their goal. The goal is Lebanon, Dominica, not having to sit in a cube, spending time with each other, going to see my guy Alex for a beer in Germany. Their goals were skewed. The fundamental grounding that you have is your perfect day, is your vision. That's why we did it. And Melissa and I were talking about this a bit earlier, but the whole purpose of your perfect day was to evoke emotion out of you such that it gets into your nervous system, such that you don't care about anything else except for achieving the emotion that's within your perfect day. So if the advice you're getting is not aligned where you want to go, what you have in your vision, why would you take it? I know because there's a lot of noise out there, which is where mental diets and controlling your environment comes in, which is why I don't listen to people. Now, just real quickly on the spiritual or faith-based or what you do or do not believe in, typically your gut instinct on what to do is right. My gut instinct told me to create this. I'm going to go to this real quick, Alex and Vince, before I come back to you, but my gut instinct told me to do this. I followed my gut. Now it was unconscious that I did it. Now I see why I did it. But the first thing was to give myself a why. I had that trip when I was 15, the thing that I told you guys about when I went to France, it changed me. I had all those emotions. That's why emotions are so powerful. I had all those emotions that life could be very different than Boston, Massachusetts, and it drove me. I was like, I want to live like that. 99 countries, 400 times later, spending time with people like you. That's exactly what I've done. I stopped buying unneeded stuff, except for that 2004 Range Rover that I bought in 2007. Melissa knows it. It was crazy that I bought it, but
I thought you were gonna say the Mercedes S.
yeah, that one I'm okay with that
What
one.
was that?
But I bought a Range Rover for 70 grand. I sold a condo, bought a Range Rover for 70 grand cash. Even though I paid it off, it cost me $1,000 a month to have it, between parking, insurance, and all the tickets I was getting in DC and gas. I sold it 3 months later for 50 grand. Best 20 grand loss I ever had. We've got to stop buying unneeded stuff. For those of you who've done the financial blueprint, you know that when we keep buying all this shit that society tells us to buy and do this consumerism thing, we have that much less to go put into real estate, stocks, self-education, your business, whatever it is. Pay yourself first. Somehow we got tricked into believing we got to pay the electric, the cable, the gas first. That stuff will always be there. Pay yourself first. You know what's funny? I just paid my gas bill. I didn't realize I haven't paid it in 4 months. They finally sent me a shutoff notice. Okay, I paid it. But in the meanwhile, I invested a lot while I didn't pay that thing. Pay yourself first. Step 4 is a store versus saving money. It's just a mindset difference. Once I put money into storage, that money was to invest. That money was not to do anything else. I never robbed from storage. So let's say I had $58,000 sitting in an account because I saved Accenture paychecks and military paychecks and all those things. And then a $5,000 bill showed up somewhere for something that was critical. I did not go get it out of my storage ever. If it came up, I would wait until I got paid with new money to go deal with it. But once you put money in storage, you don't use it. You stay broke. It's not poor. You stay broke. You pay your future self first. You make your investing life easy and your day-to-day life hard. That was my thought process for that. Once you have enough in storage to buy an asset, you buy it. Assets can be real estate, stocks, bonds, gold, doesn't matter. but assets are also self-education. The amount of seminars I went to was insane. Self-education. Buy those assets or create them. Try Life On was something that was created, right? It wasn't something that I bought. When that thing pays you, you store that as well, and you add that to your paycheck, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And that is literally my approach to what you guys now know as me. But as I said to you before, everybody's approach is different. So you have to figure out what it is. Now, the one thing that I want to tell you that people don't recognize within this one unique approach, I'm not telling you this is your approach. I'm telling you to think critically about your own. The one thing that people didn't realize was this sentence right here. And this is still happening to me today. The fact that some of the assets that I would buy appreciated, let's say 5-7 years later, and you could sell that asset and pay off another asset. So it's not that I needed the paychecks all the time. It's that, for example, right now I'm selling a mobile home community, and I will use that to pay something else off. But you had to store to get assets, to pay yourself first, to not buy a bunch of commercial crap. That was my approach for what you guys know that I've done. I still use this, by the way, but in a different way. Thoughts, comments? Okay, Vince, I didn't go to you before. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, a few things. The first thing I would say with a good mindset shift for me was just talking about you don't need a lump sum of money. Like you don't need to have $50 million in the bank or even $10 million or even $1 million in the bank. It's just having what will allow you to live that lifestyle that you want to live. So I think at one point I had a misconception that, okay, this is how much I want to have in the bank, but it's not about that. So I think that was very helpful for me. And then when talking about self-education, I just wanted to bring up that there's different types. Like self-education can look different. Sometimes it's immersing yourself around the people that are doing what you want to do. I feel like I've benefited a lot in real estate just by being immersed in certain communities. And I've learned a lot that way as well. And then lastly, when you were talking about storing, I think that is a challenge that I have that I am going to work on is, you know, especially with transitioning and trying to stabilize things in my personal life. I feel like I've not been able to store properly, but I think I've made it too easy for myself to grab money when I could have been storing it. Yeah, so that was eye-opening when you just said that. It's something that I kind of knew in the back of my mind, but when you just brought that back up, it made me think, okay, that is something that has been challenging for me.
There is forced storage. You can go the forced storage route. And for me, the forced storage route was overpaying mortgages and filling up my 401k. Because once you put money into, let's say, a piece of real estate, you can't get it out.
Right.
So the way that I looked at it, that's why I love hard assets so much. Yes, I do stocks here and there, especially in 401k, but I do have stocks outside of that and stuff. But the reason I like real estate so much is because it's a hard asset. It's not like you can just go liquidate the thing tomorrow. Okay, so you can do forced storage. We can get into maybe we'll have a side conversation about the whole 401k thing. I did leverage 401k and I leveraged it really, really, really well. But, you know, consider forced storage, Vince. And then the other thing is automation is really important because when I say pay yourself first, from my perspective, you should not be pressing a manual button on the second of every month, sending money to your storage. It should just go. It needs to be on autopilot where you never think about it. Just like your 401k. Yeah. The only reason that people's 401k balances are relatively big, although they're being robbed by fees, is because it goes automatically there and they can't touch it. And it's systematic. They don't even think about it after a while, kind of like the way we brush our teeth. You just do it. But what we have a habit of doing, here's the thing, and that's why if you look at step 4, it's so important. What we have a habit of doing is getting money, paying our bills, spending some, and then investing the rest. And what I'm saying is get your money, invest as much as you can or store as much as you can, and live off the rest. It's got to be totally reversed. But it's very hard for people because everything on TV and social media and traditional media and your parents and all that are all telling you that you got to look the part, play the part, da 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 da. There are people making. I have clients who are making well into $600,000-$700,000, but they're broke because they're not storing. They're buying stuff to make more, to then go buy stuff to make more, to look good, to buy stuff to make more. It's a cycle.
Yeah, and as you were talking, Mo, I have paid myself. You know what I mean? But the issue is, I think when you store money, you can't make it so fluid to where
Available.
it's easy to get that money back. Because I could easily go store the money first, and then at the end of the month, I'm like, oh, well, this came up. I need to go grab that money back. You know, so.
Yeah, and just real quick, and then the way that I got around that in my journey was when the money went to storage, it went to a small regional bank that I had no debit card on it. I couldn't see it online. It was like out of sight, out of mind, and the account was set up purposefully that the only way I could get the money, I see you, my man. The only way I could get the money was to call. I had to call the bank, get a wire form faxed to me, to then sign the thing, send it back. Whether it was $5 or $500,000, I had to do all this stuff to get it. So, like, if I had an emergency, I couldn't do it. But you're right, easy access will kill you. Alex, you were going to say something before, and I didn't get to you.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I was listening and thinking, and maybe just I will think out loud now, maybe just to share what is going on, and then let's see if it makes sense. I was asking myself, if I have some belief, or I believe I have it, that I need to work hard to earn money. But then I ask myself, is this really my belief, or is this my conviction of myself that is basically keeping me away from really working hard for money? Does it make sense?
It does.
So this is what I was thinking about. And basically, I don't have an approach yet. My main approach now is to just try to store as much money as I can on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Okay, not spending anything. Like buying stuff that I don't need. This is definitely one of the main approaches. But yeah, what I feel is that for me, the best way to do it would be to find something, to have some of my own business that can pay me back all of my time that I'm investing into it. So I believe that this would be like ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
So the time I'm investing while I'm alive into work is also, something that I love to do, and it's paying me. And at the same time, I get paid enough so I can pay my expenses and still buy some assets to generate some passive income, like just enough so I can, if something comes up that I don't want to work for 1 month or 2 months because I want to travel or something, I can be covered for that time, and then I can get back on track and start doing the thing that I love. And so I don't think that there should be a lot, but just like, I don't know, some of amount to cover and to keep me on. But to do that, in my logic, is the only way would be that I do something on my own, so I can be free in that area. So this is my basically, yeah, visualization of financial freedom.
I think this will come up during our conversation with Lisa when she joins us on May the 8th. We were taught and trained in formal education that we have to, same thing in school, right? That we have to work really, really, really hard to make a lot of money, like really hard. Yeah, but that training comes from working really, really hard to get into the AP classes. If you think about it, and that's why I sent you guys the second post. This will be a different topic for a different day, but the second post that I sent you was about alignment in how you make money. Once your why is correct, it feels good. The efforting part of making money, the hustle part of making money, you can do it. I certainly did it for a couple of decades, all those paychecks coming in from all the jobs and things like that, all that stuff. But once I got aligned to what I was helping people, it just seemed like money was coming as a byproduct of being in alignment and helping people. If you think about the amount of dollars we make per hour, just based on the salary that you make today, look at Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. But look at Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. There's no dollar amount per hour that can equate to the impact and money those guys are making because they're just aligned with what they do. And more money seems to come as a result of it. But all of us have to have we all had a 9 to 5 or have a 9 to 5. My approach that I expressed to you a moment ago, now I understand, was essentially me efforting to make money to then shift it into things that I was aligned with, which kind of blew that money up in a way. I'm not efforting anymore. Just money's kind of coming. Hey, Dan, I see you. All right, that was a lot. I want to show one more thing for today. And what I'm going to do, because finances are such a rubber meets the road topic, I'm going to keep the conversation very lively over the next 3 weeks in the chat. We're going to be learning on a day-to-day basis, okay, and having conversations. So not just about this meeting, because there's no way to cover this in a meeting. It's impossible. We have to have a picture of where we are to understand where we're going. Now, remind you, please ground your money thought process in your perfect day. One of the reasons I'm deleveraging now, by the way, I just want to, because you guys are holding me accountable in different ways. I inform partners. I am doing transactions to deleverage. I'll probably be deleveraged within 4 weeks by about $1 million and stuff. And like I'm moving too. So I just wanted to say that out loud. And one of the reasons I'm okay with deleveraging is because I already have my perfect day. So what the F am I doing? Why am I chasing more, right? But I had to have a picture of where I was versus where I'm going. Thank you, Shelley. Where I was versus where I'm going. And for those of you who've done one-on-one coaching or maybe just spending some time, you've seen the financial blueprint, and it matters. It really matters. Who has not done a financial blueprint? Anyone? Not? Dan, did you do one? I know we were short, but did you do one?
I did.
You did? Okay. I know Sally has. Patrick definitely. Liz, yep. Vince, yep. Shelly, yep. Zach, have you done a financial blueprint?
No, I actually don't think I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own version, but no, I've not done.
Okay, buddy. Well, here we go. We're going to hold you accountable. I came up with this very basic thing because I call it financial blueprint, financial chessboard. You'll hear me say things like, we're just going to move pieces around the chessboard. It's just 4 simple tabs. And this is why I'm not a friend of the financial community like Fidelity and all that stuff, because I think finances are basic from my perspective. But this is someone's financial blueprint. So it's just income, expenses, assets and liabilities, which is your chessboard, and then your ability to store. That's all it is. So income, this particular person, and this is how we played the system, by the way. This particular person had a virtual job. And then to store more, they added a second full-time virtual job, but job one didn't know about job two didn't know about job one. She couldn't maintain this for a long time. She was able to do this for 18 months and had to stop, but in the 18 months, she bought 2 rental properties with the money extra money that she made. So it was a hustle. But this is income, expenses, just basic expenses, mortgage 1, mortgage 2, mom, she pays for her mom, rent, car note, da 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 da. Okay? Basic expenses. I know that other stuff comes up, but basic expenses. Assets and liabilities, she's got a basic life. Savings account, retirement account, small HSA, and some home equity. Liabilities, car note, or 2 car notes actually. And interestingly, when you look at your liability side of the financial blueprint, this, whatever is here typically equates to a payment somewhere. So the reason I love doing these financial blueprints is mainly, I like this tab even more than the storage tab. Because people do have pockets of money laying around. We do. But if this person had $30,000 in savings and that car note of $27,000 was causing an $800 car payment, but the money in the bank was only generating 1% interest a year, what are we doing? You could move that chess piece around and all of a sudden you have $800 more available to invest in something else, right? It's basics. And then on the last tab, the storage tab, all the storage tab is really just this equation. It's just your total income minus your total expenses. There's a number there. Total available to store. There's a number that you have on a monthly basis that you could store away. The question is, are you disciplined enough to do it? To Vince's point. Well, I got to buy groceries. I got to do this. I get it. But can you invest in yourself first? Can you pay yourself first? But if you put that money in storage and it grows, and then at some point, depending on the thing that you want to invest in, you can buy it. And maybe that thing cash flows $400 a month after you buy it. By the way, that's not the only benefit. The $400 a month, let's say if it's a piece of real estate, that's not the only benefit. The benefit is you've proven to yourself that you can buy an asset. That thing will likely appreciate in value, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years later. And then you are also associating with people in the real estate or whatever other space. Funny thing about real estate is typically people who are interested in personal development, right? The trick is, and the disciplined nature of it is, this was my approach. Again, your approach may be different. If that investment generates a certain amount of cash flow, in this case, $400, your original storage, you take that $400, you add it to the original storage. Now, instead of saving or storing $8,300 a month, they're storing $8,700 a month, and they're pressing repeat on the process. That may feel slow, but when you do it over a 10-year period, 5-year period, instead of it taking 5 months to buy something with a $43,000 down payment, there's going to come a point where it compounds on top of itself and you're buying at a more rapid rate. It just takes time. But regardless of this storage tab, knowing your income, knowing your expenses, knowing what you have on your chessboard and that you can move things around, Sally, you and I were talking about this quite a bit, really empowers you to make decisions all for how can this thing be moved around to support the perfect day that I want. That's why some of my I have a coaching student who moved to Thailand because the cost of living was $2,000. It's like, I'm leaving. I don't need to live in the States where it's $9,000 a month. Shelly.
Mo, this is related to the financial blueprint point, but one of the areas that I find a pretty big gap on is tax planning. So
Oh, yeah,
again, in terms of our education, it's not something that I grew up learning, knowing about. My family certainly didn't have money to be able to plan their taxes and so on. But the more I learn about real estate and I move in those spaces, the more I realize that there's a huge potential source of leakage. So my question to you is, in the same way as you introduced us to folks like Sama and others, I know tax issues are different in each country, but I would find it really helpful to get someone who gets the TLO mindset and who can educate us as to how to manage our tax planning. Because sometimes the tax people, they don't even know, or they don't have the drive to help you. Yeah. Or just a network of people whom you trust who can, give us that sort of advice. Because I think that's an area that I certainly have not saved as much money as I could have through planning.
Yeah. I don't know how it is in the UK, Paris, and Dominica, but in the States, it's expensive. And a good portion of my mental effort goes to reducing tax liability. And that's why I love real estate so much, because when I have losses, paper losses, I avoid a lot of tax. Like legally, I probably should be paying in the 50-55 range tax rate legally. In the real world, because I do so much real estate and have net operating losses related to Quattro and stuff like that. And that's by design. The tax code in the US, 90% of it is supportive. It's to facilitate development. The government wants private investors like Maurice to do the Quattro thing and build apartments and all that type of stuff. It's only 10% is punitive. But people don't leverage the other 90%. So I pay much, much less, to your point. That is a whole different ball of wax. But you're right. There's a great book. It's called Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright.
Okay.
It was written in 2013. That should tell you how much I read it, because I even know when it was written. Tom Wheelwright. He's part of the Rich Dad Poor Dad community.
Okay.
I would take a look at that and start there. I will consider trying to get someone to come join us to talk about it, but you can certainly pick my brain. I'm sure Colin will have a lot to say on the tax issue. But to my point earlier about self-development, what I did in real estate to make money, great, it made money, but what it did was save me a ton of money, which I then stored and reinvested and bought something else.
That's something I definitely like to explore. Thank you. I was just putting it out there as you were talking about the money stuff.
I also have a great real estate accountant here in Atlanta, Mary Beth, who I've worked with for 25 years, that I know she'd be happy to talk to people. One of the big things for US people is to become a real estate professional in the terms of a tax designation. And then,
yes, big time.
For instance, I was able to convert a lot of my what's called net operating losses, or NOLs, to mask conversion of my 401k into Roth, which is the best retirement vehicle because it grows tax-free and comes out tax-free. So I'll be happy to have a conversation and just share what I'm doing as well.
Listen, that was a lot. That was a lot. I want to give you just some wrap-up points. The first and overarching foundational point that I want to remind you, and for you guys to hold yourself accountable and hold all of us accountable. The definition of financial freedom is different for everybody. It really is. In the moniker of Try Life On, all we're talking about is financial ability without having to actively work. And maybe active work is included, because I don't plan on stopping working. But general financial ability to affect your perfect day. And for a lot of us, our perfect day does not cost 38 grand a month. It just doesn't. So when I sat with Stephen Power, I was like, no, I need my perfect day now. I ain't waiting until 65. But I want you guys to realize that everything is anchored around that perfect day. So Sally, when I think about you and Jay and the whole Bordeaux movement, I'm so thrilled and excited for you, because you have crystallized what your lifestyle is going to be, which means that you can back into the numbers that you need, which means you don't have to rely on society's definitions anymore. And remember that decision you made about that particular employer? You're like, that's not helping my perfect day at all, in fact. It's a beautiful thing. But the definition of financial freedom, certainly there are threads that are common across all the things that you guys said, but it's very different for everybody. The second, and it's anchored, but it's anchored in your perfect day. So your perfect day matters. The second thing is everybody's approach. There is no one approach. You have to find who's that are doing things that you are aligned with that feels right for you. And if it's fuck you money, Zach, then it's fuck you money, Zach. I feel like I have that now, by the way. I never really truly felt like that, but I definitely feel like I have that now. But approaches to financial freedom are very different. And those approaches stem from how is this thing going to get me to the perfect day? I am not a fan. Now, this is just a personal thing. I'm not a fan of speculation. I'm not a fan of lottery, because even if you win, you've not built up the skill set to maintain it or to multiply it anyway. To me, it's a long game or a discipline game. If you do win the lottery, if you're disciplined with the money, then you're fine. But we want the skill set too, how to do it, which is where the self-education comes in. Third point is you need to understand your picture. Like, how would you ask a Maurice or anybody, like anybody who's had relative success to what you want to do? How are they going to help you if you have no picture to show of where you are? You got to have a picture to show where you are, so then you can start, as Colin said, relying on everybody here, because everybody has good input, but it's got to be based on something. And then the last point, which was supposed to be just not a pie in the sky point, but something that you feel intrinsically. Hey, Zach, if you were generating revenue from your design, would that feel like work?
Not at all.
No, because you're aligned with it. There is something to, and that's why I sent that post out that I sent today, the other one where I talked about real estate between 02 and 14 being 5 million, and then real estate between 16 and 22 being 250 million. I was just enjoying, like, when you get to a point where you're enjoying what you are actually doing. I'm grinding on real estate nowadays, though. I need to, in a way, I need to pull myself out. But if you are aligned with it, it's not efforting. It for some reason more seems to drop out. And that's why I say when people chase money, it runs. Like, you may make money, but at some point you're going to make a mistake, because the object of your activity is the chase of it, a piece of paper. Whereas if you are aligned with what you are doing, if you're starting a company, if you are coaching, Zach, if you're creating a design, Shelly, if you're creating a resort, Alex, the company you want to start, there is something to alignment about what you are doing that will generate revenue that makes it very different from the mediocre, from my perspective, the mediocre outcomes of efforting in something you hate. I think it can be temporary. I do. All my stuff is temporary. But once I switched into a line, like Try Life On is very aligned for me. I'm very happy doing it. So I just wanted to throw that fourth point out. We are not talking about chasing money. And if there's any chase, it's for the perfect day. And all of your perfect days in some form or fashion has you doing some level of work inside of it. So could you generate revenue from doing that work? That might be your financial freedom right there. I feel like everybody's stunned today or something. You guys still with me? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
It's heavy. It's a lot. It's a lot. So the conversations are going to continue this week within the chat. You'll see the common threads of what we were talking about. I'll make it abundantly clear. If anybody wants to have side conversations on this topic, man, I love this one. So I'm very happy to have side calls, or maybe even a side group call. I don't think there's a way we can cover everything within this domain, because it's not coverable, because it's so unique to every particular person. But I'm very happy to facilitate side calls with all of us on particular topics. We have one more session next week, which will continue on this thread. And then Lisa Chastain is going to join us to talk about your emotional relationship with money, which truly drives your actions on what you're doing. My deleveraging is because of my emotional relationship. I'm done doing it the way that I've done it. Okay, so I'm very happy that she's coming. Any parting thoughts from anybody? Zach?
I just want to say this is probably, in my opinion, the most important aspect of our journey. If we can get this section figured out, everything else will come. For me, this is the biggest one. So
I agree, Zach. And sometimes it can feel really overwhelming for me personally. And I think you and I are in the W-2 thing. And I think the longer I'm in this space, I don't want to speak for you, but the longer I'm in this W-2 space, the more urgent this work feels. And so sometimes it can feel very difficult to see an actual end goal or exit plan because the number looks big, but I'm here in this W-2 and like making that transition, I find there's a lot of, for me, there's a lot riding on this aspect of the program.
Yeah.
I had 7 meetings yesterday. 7.
On your project?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just one more thing on the W-2 thing and the mindset of finances. I had one coaching student and they were a couple. They had a combined $1.6 million sitting in 401ks. Okay. They had 2 rental properties, late 40s, early 50s. They wanted to retire, but the mindset for them was wrapped around the axle related to this 401k money. We're not supposed to touch it until we're 65 or 70. Well, that's what industry tells you. That's why ERISA, the law for it, which was written in 1974, which was lobbied by the financial industry, says you can't take the money out till 65 or 70. And you know why that was done that way? To force you to leave the money in there because the money is sitting with them and they're collecting fees off of it. Has nothing to do with the effect of your perfect day. It has everything to do with filling their coffers. So by creating a financial blueprint and having on the assets tab, which was your chessboard, the fact that they had this 1.6 million, they looked at the 1.6 million and the tax hit they would take from withdrawing it. They made the decision to withdraw it, paid the tax bill, paid off 1 rental property, or 1 or 2. I can't remember. I think 1 rental property, and then used a lump sum to buy another rental property, all cash, created $6,000 of revenue now, and they left. They're not
easy.
Yeah, well, it's easy in execution, but really difficult in mindset because it's been pummeled into us. We don't touch IRA, 401k, 403b money, TSP money until we're 65, 70. Yet you may not even make it to 65, 70.
And someone else will get it.
Exactly.
So knowing what you have on your chessboard is so important because you can move those things around to affect your perfect day. And yes, some of us have assets, some of us don't. I think some people have no bills or no debts and things of that nature. That's just as much of an asset as having a lot of assets and a lot of debt. It just depends. That's why I'm saying I'm open for side conversations to get people thinking. By the way, and last point, Dan and I have talked a lot because of our military background and how we're leveraging our pensions. I have 3 pensions, 2 from the military, 1 from the police department. Those are assets on my chessboard. I can use them. Just so we don't think about it. So it's very important to get what you have down and then to have tough conversations on how you can leverage them or move them around. All right.
All right.
All right. Alex, have a good time with Byron. Tell him I said hello.
Me too. Tell him I said hi too.
Me 3. Tell him I said hello.
All right, guys. I will keep the chat going. Thank you for staying long today. I knew that was going to happen, but that's the nature of money. We have to figure this stuff out together. Think critically about it. Think from the perspective of your perfect day. If you're achieving it, why are we struggling? Right? We're doing all this stuff because industry tells us to. Yet we can be achieving our perfect day sooner than we think. So keep it in mind, and I'll see you in the chat.
See ya. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so
Happy
much. This was
Friday.
wonderful. Yeah, bye, everyone.
All right, Dan. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful in helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it. Give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.